Welcome to Journeys of Empowerment, where real conversations ignite real change. I'm your host, 𝗪𝗁 𝗪𝗲 𝗘𝘅𝗽𝗍. This show is built on conversational alchemy, the spark that happens when honest dialogue unlocks clarity, courage, and agency. Each episode brings raw stories, bold voices, and people turning adversity into action and purpose into power. Let's dive in. This conversation might just change everything. Before we dive in, a quick shout out to our sponsor 𝗪𝗪𝗪, your go-to partner if you're serious about turning behavior change into lasting impact. Let's be real, leading change is hard. If you ever felt stuck dealing with resistance, low engagement, or habits that just won't shift, you're not alone. Change left to chance rarely works, not because people don't care, but because the process isn't designed to stick. That's exactly why 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 exists, to help leaders like you create change that actually lasts. No fluff, no gimmicks, just a practical, proven approach built on real behavioral science. It all starts with the awareness workshop, where you uncover why most behavior change efforts fall short and how to break that pattern. A hands-on framework to lead change with confidence. Tools to build teams that take ownership, not just follow orders. When done right, change becomes a catalyst. It saves time, fuels energy, and builds a culture people want to be part of. Curious? Experience it firsthand. Book your spot at 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪.nl. What if we approached women's health like we do learning, habitual, inclusive, and empowering? In this episode, I sit down with Kasia Pokrop, co-founder of 𝗪𝗵 Health, formerly known as Mamamoon. Her mission? To reimagine how we support women through the 3 critical M's: menstruation, motherhood, and menopause. From building a Duolingo-style app for birth prep to challenging taboos and pushing for early health education in school, Kasia is flipping the script on how society views and supports women's health across every stage of life. We talk about why men must be part of the solution, how her leap from Philips to purpose is reshaping the health space, and why words like embrace matter more than we think. This isn't just a conversation about women's health. It's about cultural change, shared responsibility, and building a more supportive world for the next generation. Let's step into it. Hey Kasia, welcome to Journeys of Empowerment.
Super nice to be here, thank you.
Yeah. After my brief introduction about what you're doing, it's always much better and when a co-founder herself explains what the company Mamamoon Health is doing and what you're trying to achieve. So please give it up for Kasia and Mamamoon Health.
Thank you so much. Well, Mamamoon started with a big heart for pregnancy and birth and postpartum. So this is where our core services started, to help women throughout pregnancy to have a better birth, easier postpartum recovery. So also our digital proposition, the Mamamoon app, is all about that. It's to guide you throughout pregnancy and postpartum, so you have a better birth, no birth trauma, no postpartum depression, or that you feel supported on the journey. Over the last 2 years, I would say, we saw that there's more to that. So we started with all the experts close around, again, pregnancy and birth and postpartum, realizing that on one hand, our initial vision being like, let's make the parenting life easier with having a better start, is only like very small percentage of what women feel as pain in their life when it comes to women's health. Mm-hmm. So this is where we started looking a little bit broader. So that's why we organized the event on the women's health, where we bring experts from different disciplines, and then the whole room is full of curious women, and hopefully soon also men. I want to support women in their life.
Man ally needed here.
Exactly.
Because you had one, you had last April an event.
March.
last March, an event. And how many men were there?
0.
No, seriously?
0. There was not a single one. And we were shouting about it. So I was not sure if they are shy. Like, we don't bite. Like, seriously, we don't bite, you can come. It's all, all men have some women in their lives, right? So that's the part which I didn't understand because, we have mothers, sisters, best friends, daughters, colleagues. And it's always after the events that we only had with women, the feedback from women was, can we please... How can I have my partner to know it, to understand it? Like, I don't want to have to explain it all over. Like, you do it so well, if they could just join and also have that same knowledge, that same understanding would have been so much easier. So we want to make it easier, but men just need to man up, I guess.
The main question is maybe why is it for men important to be there? Because the reason why for men is it is important to be there. Why is it?
Well, if you have women in your life, right, and it's you need to think through the angle of the women that you have in your life. So how can you support them better? If you have women who are maybe maybe you have a teenage daughter, right? She's going through the adolescence, and there's a lot of changes, and there is period, and there is hormones, and there may be some different. Hopefully, everything goes well. But if there is PMS or PMDD or PCOS, you want to be aware of it because that can make you also aware of how you can support her. And on the other hand, if you have maybe your mother or your partner who is going through perimenopause or menopause. She may experience anxiety, depression, pain, and if you know that that's linked to the stage of her life, then you also know, like, okay, it's not me doing anything wrong. It's just biology, and there are ways to support, and it's not just her supporting herself, but actually anybody around her can also help with either giving empathy or just helping her with her lifestyle. So there would be less friction in the relationships. And again, whether the relationship is, with partners or whether the relationship is daughter and father or you are a son and it's with a mother. So it's really, thinking a lot more from that angle.
Empathetic, maybe more from an empathetic level and also better understanding of what women are going through in different stages of life.
Correct, and you don't need to be an ally to a cause. Like when you are not part of that group, you can be an ally, you can be a supporter, even if you are outside, and that's it just makes maybe even living the life where 50% of the population is women.
Is women, yeah. So if men are listening to this episode, please come and we will repeat it, I think, a few more times this episode. But when is the next event organized and where is it?
We have it on June 24 on a Tuesday evening at Equals Amsterdam from 6 p.m. Yeah.
All right. And we will share a link in the show notes. And okay. Hey, maar back to Mamamoon Health.
Yeah.
The 3M's and Mamamoon Health.
Yes.
Help the listener understand Mamamoon Health, the 3M's, and
it was transition due to us staying close with our community of moms, of women who are close. On one hand, requested by them, so those who were pregnant and going through the motherhood, being connected with us at one stage or another, they started asking questions, for example, about the perimenopause. Or they also had questions around infertility, even like after having the first child, you can struggle to get pregnant again. They had questions about endometriosis, about the PCOS, so different conditions. And we realized that motherhood is just one part of it. There's menstruation, motherhood, menopause, those three.
And those are the 3M's.
Those are the 3M's, yeah. Those are the three main
menstruation, motherhood, and menopause.
Yeah. And that was on one hand coming from the women. On the other hand, also the companies that we are talking to. So we are bringing the women's health in the workplace services to the companies in the form of the sharing the Mamamoon app for the pregnant employees, so being the digital tool, but also bringing awareness in the form of webinars or events, connecting them with the experts. And the companies asked that. So they said, like, okay, you have a great proposition for motherhood, but what about the other female employees, right? There was one company that literally said, what about the 3M's, the menstruation, motherhood, and menopause? So it was...
And was it to be honest, was it the woman asking that question?
Yeah. And that was what was very much eye-opening for us, that we got the same request from both the B2B clients and the B2C, let's say it. So both the women who are with the community using the app, the direct users, but also the companies that we're working with. And that's where we started exploring it, seeing that we can already do a lot to address those 3M's. So we can already bring it in the form of the events, sharing the knowledge, we have our regular events in Amsterdam, which we want to make open for everyone, but we also bring the conversations to the companies to also show the examples of, that it is important topic and that does make a difference as well.
And you mentioned menstruation, motherhood, and menopause.
Yeah,
I can imagine being a father of an 18-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old daughter. Are you at this moment, as a startup, are you aiming for the company side, or also maybe going to schools with a proposition?
I would love to go to schools.
Because the earlier we learn... I
actually sent an email last week to the director of my kids' school to see whether we can pilot something. I would love to bring it. I mean, there is nothing... I had this conversation also yesterday with another mom, which was that somewhere in group 7 or 8, her daughter, when she was there, they get a week of education, but on the sexual health. But there was nothing, at least from what she mentioned, specifically on the menstruation and on women's health, looking forward. So let's say there is that part, of course, for us as women that we are interested for the age that we are today. But we are learning about the history, about geography, about the mathematics, about political science, about all of those things. And we are not learning about that. There's going to be a time that your hormones will go down, and then you go, through menopause, for example, or about the motherhood, that it's not just giving birth, that there's the whole postpartum and the hormones and
also the pre.
And it's just mind blowing, So yes, I'm very passionate about it and would love to bring it to schools. And the earlier, the better, and also bringing it to schools would mean that it's not only for the girls, but also for the boys, so that you can normalize the fact that girls have periods, and that's okay, and that's not a shame, and that's not a taboo.
What does it actually mean to have a period?
Exactly, and that you can also just help, and that there shouldn't be any hiding or feeling bad about it, or that they are going through the change. I don't know about your daughters, but what I see, for example, from some of the friends of Lily who are a bit older, so she's going to be 9 this year. So not there yet, but when they are kind of wearing those big jumpers to hide the changes on the body that they are feeling, as if this is like shame, like that they are shy about it.
Shy-ish or shame, and there's a thin line between it, between shyness and shame. And what is it? And I would love to encourage that, and it makes me think even about another thing. when we announced our divorce, India, our oldest one, was 11 years younger, so she's now 18. Yeah. So, and she went through different stages. And of course, I as a daddy also have to understand, hey, what does it mean? And normally when you're together, you can have a conversation with your wife about those kind of things. So there's also man ally needed. There's also a big group of men who became single parent or divorced or in what kind of situation, being father of daughters, we're going to. So the sooner the better. But let's take it where it is as is now, because also in the stage of your company where you're now, focus is of the essence. Yeah. What are you offering with the Mamamoon app? In kind of proposition, what can people expect from the app as is now?
Yeah, we call it, and I hate to say it because everybody says it now, but I'm just going to say it. We call it a Duolingo for birth and postpartum preparation.
And what's not to like?
The Duolingo. Everybody is now a Duolingo for something. So,
okay. Yeah.
So it's, but it.
This one is really needed.
But once I say it and people get it, like, oh yeah, so then probably there is some sort of reward system, right? Yes, there is. So we have a program that was curated with the experts for the whole pregnancy and 16 weeks postpartum. And some of the feedback, so we tested it with a group of around 70 women over the period of 4.5 months. So we tested every single part of this program during the time, getting feedback incorporated. They basically co-created this program with us without knowing, because we took their feedback and then put it back into the design as well. And what the goal was to not to make them overwhelmed. So they feel like when you're pregnant that there's so much information out there, but then you don't know what to focus on. And we said, like, okay, our goal is that you feel better when you're pregnant, that you have a better birth experience, and that you have an easier postpartum recovery, right? And for that, we selected 5 to 6 things. That was something that they told us, like, okay, I can focus on like 5 to 6 things every week, which when we share it, those are the elements that can actually impact how they experience birth and postpartum recovery. And
are there that sort of habitual things, or what do I have to think about? Because now I'm really getting curious.
So what we, for example, don't do, we don't tell you that your baby is the size of a melon or a strawberry or a banana, because that honestly that doesn't make any sense, you know. It's not like, you know, if I know that my baby is the size of a melon, that will make me give birth in an easier way, right? So no, so we don't do that. We very much focus indeed on the habit. So how active you are. So to make sure that your body is prepared, that it's aligned, that we focus on the baby positioning at a certain moment. And that's also, women don't know. So there's a lot of things that you can influence during your pregnancy to have an easier birth. And one of it is, it's a nerdy thing, but I like nerdiness. So you can actually influence the positioning of your baby to make sure that the baby goes head down in time, that is optimal position for birth, so the birth is easier, and you can do it with movement. You can do it with the way you sit, with the way you stand, with the way you sleep, if you know about it. Because if you don't know about it, then you don't do it.
No.
And unless you have a healthy habits before of maybe practices that keep that spine straight, and then you know, maybe that's fine. But if you don't, then I often see women come to me at like week 36 or 38. I'm like, oh shit! If I knew, I could have done it, right? Because it doesn't really make any difference. They could have done it, but they didn't know. So part of it is really
bringing the unaware to awareness.
Yeah. And bringing like those at the right time. So there are the specific times in pregnancy where.
So you plot your starting date when you, as soon as you know, hey, we're now here, so many weeks, and then it starts counting and based on a certain okay.
And there is a part of the body, preparing the mother's body, preparing the baby in the most optimal position, and also making sure that in their heads they have the belief that they can have the better birth, but also that they have the tools, as the baby can be positioned in the best way and the body can be very aligned and open. But if they tell themselves, like, you're not going anywhere, then, well, eventually the baby will get out, but it's just not going to be maybe as pretty as otherwise could be.
It sounds like empowering.
It can be very empowering. When I gave birth to my daughter, I felt like a superhero. I said, I was scared of it my whole life. And there I was, and I felt like, shit, if I did that, I can do anything. And that's something which later, when I was talking with other women, but also for myself, I'm originally from Poland, it's super medicalized when it comes to giving birth. So realizing that I had this experience that gave me so much power. If I was back home, most likely I wouldn't have this experience. And that was when I was a bit pissed off. And I got even more pissed off when I was talking with... she's a birth photographer, but I've heard more stories like that. But from Argentina, in Latin America, the birth is very medicalized as well. You basically can sign up for a C-section. And she was a teen mom, so her first one was via C-section. Then the second one, she wanted to try, but she also felt pushed in that direction. And when she came to the Netherlands, she became a birth photographer. She saw how beautiful the birth can also be. And she felt like something was stolen from her. As if she was never given a chance to even try. Because she was directly pushed into that direction of cesarean birth, which, I mean, it's great that we have it as an option, but it can be different as well. So I think that's something that I would love to change, to give women the chance to have that experience, and that's indeed by knowledge, bringing it at the right moment, and knowing that there's a lot of things that you can prevent if you know. If you be aware of it.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. And you are now how long entrepreneur?
I don't know where I should start counting. So let's call it 3 years, where I could call myself that. I still struggle with it a little bit. But there was 2022 when I basically took a decision to move full speed on that.
And what led you to that path? What helped you make that decision? And what did you do before?
Well, I had the trial period.
Yes.
So first, I used to work in corporate. So that was long time ago, what I call my previous life. Yes. And the last role was at digital health at Philips, which opened my eyes in a sense how technology can scale and make an impact. That was also the time when my daughter was born, so it was really impactful in a sense of, again, the experience I just shared, plus knowing that technology can scale it to make sure that knowledge is really spread. Then I had a few years of, trying things out in a sense. So I had a rebound with corporate in another company that the moment that I was pregnant with my son, I left. And I started working with pregnant couples, but in a very relaxed way. So I don't call it entrepreneurship. It was more sharing what I loved doing. I had the comfort of being able to do it. But I quickly got, maybe not bored, but it was not enough. It was not enough in the sense that I saw that I could help people who were in a room, but there's only that many people that fit in that room. So that technology part came back.
Yes,
and
the scalability part.
Correct. And when I was playing with during COVID, I opened a birth and postpartum online school. Preparation school, and one of the friends, it was her third pregnancy. She joined me there, and she was a founder. So she actually started. She was on her. She was a founder of also health tech company, and she told me like, hey, you know what? You have to go to. You have to join this program, which is the startup program, the cohort at 𝗪𝗲. And I felt like, what the hell? You know, what am I supposed to do there? but she was, she's kind of pushy. So she said it once, I ignored it, and then she said it second time. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna apply. So I applied, I got in, and that was the summer of 2022, which was really, it was a game change. It was in a sense that I was in a room which was 90% of men, and they were all very young compared to me. And it was all about the blockchain and crypto and artificial intelligence, and they were all very nice. And there was like, so on the first thought,
residents, right? Residents in entrepreneurship in 𝗪𝗲. Yeah.
Yes, I did that. So, and then there was me, who was, pregnancy and postpartum and hormones and mom of two and from Poland and almost 40. Like, what am I doing here? So, but there was an eye opener. There was a great school. There was such a great experience because we've been in that program. You basically, it was over the summer. So my family was in Poland, and I was flying up and down, which was for the pitch every week, because we were going through every week. So some teams were left behind. And they were stepping away, and we were going week by week to the next pitching event. So week by week, I was flying back, which was it was intense, but it was definitely worth it. And that opened the eyes in a sense, like, okay, you know what, I really want to do it. If there was so little women in this room, there was so little focus on health, on women's health. And I felt like, okay, I already have my 2 kids. I'm not planning anymore. Like, I have this experience of working with pregnant people. I have the network of experts that I can activate. I have the experience of digital health from Philips. If people like me are not going to do anything about it,
who's going to move the needle?
No,
right?
Exactly. So at least I can give it a shot. So that was really at the back of my head. So I basically agreed. It was crazy. It was really intense, but it helped to shape the product, so that to nail the proposition, to find the hook, to make it the Duolingo, to get a very honest feedback, to learn about the whole startup world, and that you have to basically grow some thick skin and put your pride in a pocket, and just listen to like the valuable feedback, and like put all the comments like on the side, whatever is I'd say in and out. So that's actually the moment that I consider like if women like myself who are equipped to do it are not gonna give it a shot, then who's gonna do it?
For sure, nobody, and that's why you jumped in.
Yeah.
And what? Let's first get to know you a little bit more. So, if we look at the corporate life, what kind of roles do we have to think about where you were in?
I was all over the place. I started in marketing.
Yeah.
I was working at Philips television business first. I started in Singapore, by the way.
Oh. Yeah. Poland, Singapore.
Actually, Poland, Amsterdam internship, and then Singapore was my first job. Yeah.
Oh, your first job at Philips in Singapore.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
That was pretty cool. So I was at that time there was market research and in the marketing team. And then there was a restructuring, and that was when I came back to Amsterdam. So then I did jobs in strategy. I moved. Philips Television at a certain moment was sold to a Taiwanese company. At that time, I said, okay, it doesn't make any sense for me to be in strategy, but there was a big project office of transformation office that was doing the whole transition. So I went to the head of this office and said, like, hey, how about you train me as a project manager, because doesn't matter, I do strategy, but I can help you here, I see. So I was working with the Delight consultants hand by hand to basically do that transition, which was best learning on the job ever. And then I went back to Philips for the digital health. So it was product management. Had a team of content manager, where we also had coaches, nutrition, activity, working closely with the design team, with the developers in Bangalore, going to the cardiologist in Amsterdam to understand whether the solution we had, whether they would work with it. So it was, it was actually pretty cool the last 5 years there. Yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't a big leap for you to step into the entrepreneurship? Because
yes and no.
it's safety. It's financial safety. It's a big corporate. It's it's sort of.
So yes and no. It was no, because what I started doing made a difference on people's lives, and that was something which was for me more important than doing PowerPoints. So without that was just, and also, by the way, that nice job that I described at Digital Health, the whole business was closed a month before we had a clinical trial, which makes you think like, okay, you've been working on something that was about to create a huge impact, and you were putting all your effort in it, and then they just close it like that, So that was when I felt like, okay, that's not okay. I want to be in charge of a decision whether I'm stopping doing something, not that, I put 5 years of my life into growing something and then suddenly this is all. No. So that was, so in this sense, no. And I think I was in a luxury position of that if you are working through, all those years with a good salary, then you have savings, right? I am in a relationship, so we are also partners. There was a time when my partner had a bit of a break, and then I was the one who had a stable salary, and then, let's say that now he's, let's say, holding it, being the stable one, but that's the partnership, that's the team financially. Yeah. So it is something that I've thought about it, but my whole body was saying jump. It was really not a question. The best moment ever was when I went back to my manager saying like, after this baby is born, I'm not going to be back.
Oh, wow. So, you did it like...
So it was like, it was so relieving. It was like, finally, I can have space to do the things that I love. And that was, you have doubt on the way, but that moment I didn't have any doubt.
It's interesting that you mentioned the word relief, yet you were also working in an environment, as far as I can perceive it, that you were working in the digital health, so you were serving the cause, which is important for you.
And that was in a different company.
Okay. Because I was.
Because they
but
closed
why the relief
then?
Okay.
They closed the digital health. Then I had a rebound with corporate with another company. And that was, that was not digital health. That was a business I couldn't connect.
And that's the reason for the relief. Because I missed that part. Sorry. And because I was curious. Hey, but where is the relief? Was it the corporate life that it was a relief, or more the cause where you're working for? And that, and it's bit. And when we go a little bit back, because I'm getting curious about you and your intrinsic motivation, where does that come from? And who are you? Well, maybe the question is, who are you beyond the titles and the roles you did, and where does it come from?
It's a very difficult question because, like when I keep on introducing myself, so sometimes I'm Mom of Mikko or Mom of Lily. And then you are like, somebody else saw me somewhere in the corridor, like, oh yeah, Kasia, she was teaching me hypnobirthing, and then it's like, oh yeah, but you're the founder of Mamamoon, and it's like, who are you? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm a curious person. I was, born and raised in Poland. I I do remember the proper communistic times in Poland where we had nothing and oranges for Christmas. So I also saw my dad doing such crazy cool things in his life. I used to tell he cannot speak any language, but you can just drop him in the middle of, like Latin America and he will come back, making money on it.
No.
Yes. It's like he will sell you anything.
Was a hustler.
Yeah? Yes. So it was, he was the one who basically, he would tell me like, when I started working for 3M's, he said, you're stupid. Like if people like you work for somebody else, who's gonna like set up companies? Who's gonna grow that economy? Like this is stupid, So he was always basically like, you have everything for that, So that was really, that was something that I grew up with, like that voice at the back of your head. When I got that job offer in Singapore, I was still studying. I was writing my thesis in Singapore, I was pretty young. So it was, when I went there, it was like, they had no doubts, just go. It's like, who the hell is starting their like professional career
in Singapore?
Let's just go.
Still studying.
Yeah. So it was So that was really at the back, and because I saw him doing things, like I saw him having a company of 80 people, and I saw him. He once won a project that those rings that they put on cows. Yeah. So he, as a car dealer, he won a project to put those rings on like 1/3 of the country. It's like, don't ask me how he did that. He did that. So it was like, you can really do crazy stuff if you like put yourself into it. So yeah, so that's a little bit...
Sounds encouraging. Yes. So curious, encouraging.
Yeah. And having an example, a role model, I believe, in this case.
Yeah. So your father is for sure a role model. When it comes to entrepreneurship and perseverance and hustler. And
yes.
Yeah. Hey, but it's interesting always, because who we are, we tend to talk about what we're doing and how we're doing, and how much is what you're doing and why you're doing related to how much is what you're doing related to why you're doing it? When it comes to you personally, where comes the fire? Why? What is your big dream with it? I don't want women to be as scared and supported as I was. And I know that I can change that. So I don't want women to have that fear. And if you grow up, and this is sad, currently this is still the reality, that if you hear about, and that was the core, right, when it comes to start of Mamamoon, was all about the birth. So that was the trigger, the fear. 50% of population, 50% of women are scared of giving birth. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And 20% they end up with postpartum depression, either because of the birth or because of lack of support or the hormones. Different reasons, but it doesn't have to be like that. So this is my why. When I was a little girl, once I found out that, how the babies are born, I told myself that, don't worry, by the time you grow up, then the science will come up with a way that the boys deliver. And that obviously didn't happen. So I was scared, right? And then I had this experience which was like mind-blowing on the other side. It was not like easy, but it was like nothing compared to what the drama and trauma that I thought it's gonna be, right? So that's the why, and the what is what we are serving. And that the what is also growing because I am going through different phases of my life. So now seeing, let's say, when I'm just feeling like, I see, the light at the end of the tunnel of that whole motherhood and the parenting, and like my kids, finally I can negotiate with them to kind of have a bit of like agreement of some freedom. And then I start seeing like this perimenopause and menopause creeping in, sort of like, Jesus Christ, like give us a break.
And then my girl, she's gonna turn 9 this year. Somebody recently told me, like, hey, do you realize that Lily will have, we'll be going through adolescence when you're going like through menopause. I'm like, thank you very much for that
reminder.
So, but that's the other thing, right? You asked me about the schools, right? So it's really like, I would love to bring it to the schools, because then if they grow with that knowledge, if it would have helped me as well to be maybe having more empathy towards my mother. So, but I didn't know.
No, yeah,
she didn't know.
It is an unknown, times unknown, and most of the time we don't know what we don't know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
When we go to the mission of Mamamoon, and we had a pre-conversation, of course, you mentioned also another very interesting company or initiative, or, well, maybe you can explain a little bit more about Embrace and what are you heading and what are you focusing on?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So yes, we started with Mamamoon, and that's still the heart, and Mamamoon will stay there for everything we do with motherhood. But over the last 2 years, we work with women from every phase of their lives, and the name Mamamoon doesn't fit because it's very closely linked to motherhood, and not every woman is a mother or wants to be a mother or can be a mother. And in this case, especially if it's the last one, we can become a trigger. And I don't want to be this trigger.
No.
I don't want to be, creating services or for women that can support them during their life, but at the same time being maybe a reminder of something they really wanted and that didn't happen. So that was when I sat down together with my friend who came up with the name of Mamamoon. And she knows me very well, and she's a creative copywriter, and she's amazing. And we talked about the 3M's, because we said, like, okay, we need an umbrella. We need an umbrella under which Mamamoon will be a pillar for motherhood, but under which we can also share services for menstruation and menopause. And part of it may be something that we do ourselves, like the Mamamoon app. Part of it is something that we can also partner with. So I'm a strong believer that you don't have to do everything yourself.
No.
You don't have to be the best in everything. You can partner, can collaborate. I love it. I love those partnerships as well. And that's where Embrace was born. So Embrace Health will be that place where we create that umbrella for women's health services of the 3M's, so menstruation, motherhood, menopause. When we write it, we actually, we don't write it Embrace like you have it as a word, but instead of the first E, you have like the number 3.
Yeah, from the 3M's, right?
Correct. So the 3M's is there.
Yeah. and the last E is also a 3.
Yeah, that we did in the logo, because we tested the logo and in different shapes, and it was when now with the logo this way, it's like a hug. It's like
it's hugging the
yeah. So that was actually which was suggested by some of the women who were testing it. Like, hey, if you turn it, then it's really like hugging. It's really embracing. So I'm super excited about it because it will open up the doors to partner to bring that support for women at every stage of life, which is our vision. It is our mission to do that. So to support women at every stage of their lives, without being a trigger. So without being a trigger when it
necessarily
comes to
specific mama focused.
Correct. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so 3M is becoming 3M Embrace is a sort of ecosystem for 3M, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Also for partnering with and this will be published at the 3rd of June. So are you then live?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, you will see us live. Super excited about it. Already having some not the first talks, basically formalizing also those partnerships as well. Lots of possibilities also for the other companies, but also for the experts who are working in women's health.
And what kind of, you don't have to mention specifically names when it's still in negotiation phase or whatever, but what kind of partnerships are you thinking about? How can, if people are listening and think, hey, but maybe we can work together, what is of relevance?
Well, any products or services when it comes to women's health. To give you an example, I mean, that's also not a secret because we've been collaborating already for a long time. One example is Yoni.
Ah, yeah.
So that we love what they are doing. We love the focus on women's health. So not only about bringing the products that take care of women's health, but also the whole advocacy behind it.
Yes.
So they can be one example here. But those can be products like physical products, but can also be services. So we also have a partnership with a startup focusing on pelvic floor health, belly health. Mm-hmm. And that's, they are now in the US, in the UK, but also looking at expanding to Europe soon. So that will become even more relevant. But already now we are able to send people, for example, to what they are doing when it comes to pelvic floor health, which is so important at every stage. So especially with, of course, motherhood and the recovery in postpartum, but also in menstruation, also in menopause. So it's very relevant for all the 3M's when it comes to them.
And what can we expect as a visitor of Embrace? What can we expect in terms of what can we find there? Is it educational? Is it inspirational? What can we find there?
Yes, all of it. So there will be, let's say, the education, inspiration, awareness, but also curated list of experts that we work with.
Yeah, you mentioned quite, sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned quite some time expert. Yeah. Maybe it's good that we share with our listener what we mean with expert in this specific context.
Yeah. So it's health experts, health professionals who are working on women's health. Can be nutritionists, can be hormonal health specialists, orthomolecular therapists, pelvic floor physiotherapists, mindfulness, name it. So it's
everything within the 3M, which can be of value during these stages and in specific areas of these. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. And. So education, inspiration, and what, and so you have Embrace, then you have Mamamoon app. So Mamamoon app will become also a partner of your company, to understand it correctly. So that's the umbrella, and then all right, that sounds interesting. And are you organizing an event around it, or are you what are your plans for it?
So not officially yet planned, but we'll be sharing it. The first event that we'll do under the branding of Embrace will be the June 24 event, where all the men are also invited. By the way,
great. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Well, I said this one will be published at the 3rd of June, so on Tuesday. So there's enough time, 21 days to be clear. Exactly. 21 days to book your ticket. And what's interesting is the whole unknown and ignorance around, and also men and women around women health. What are the biggest misconceptions of hormonal health?
Well, we as women, we are basically taught from the start, for example, periods are painful. That you have to, that it's just going to hurt. And that pain is normal. That it's something that we should deal with because the period is painful. Now, surprise, surprise, period is not supposed to be painful. So that's the start, right? So that's our first, let's say, education or knowledge sharing. I wouldn't even call it that. It's more like a knowledge sharing, right? From either a nurse at the school or from your mom. It's like, okay, we're going to get period and that will take a few days. And by the way, it will hurt. And there's a lot of times where we go through life that we feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
But on one hand, we go to the doctor and we said like, okay, but this is normal. Or we even, it's so deeply in us that we just accept it.
Mm.
And that's very deeply rooted. So that's where it starts. That's also why probably took so long for us to also talk about it. I mean, there was to speak up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, women's health, it is official that it's under research. There's not enough research to be able to give a proper diagnosis for women on certain elements. And to give some examples, one of the doctors that we work closely with, she's also very vocal about it. So she described that when she was in the medical school, she had to study women's health on the men's anatomy. So the other doctor, she recently, I was also in a session with her, and she mentioned that in her school, when maybe she's a GP, a house arts, that maybe there was like an hour of education on menopause.
That's it.
And she also then described, she was also quite vocal about it, saying that not until she went through the perimenopause herself, she was aware of it, that it was short after her third kid was born. And then she started experiencing different symptoms, shaky hands, and not being, able to drive because she was dizzy often, and not being able to do the procedures. She started doubting herself to be a doctor. And then someone who's not even in the doctor area told her about the podcast about the menopause. She started listening to it, training, and being very open about it now, saying like, up until that moment, if women would come to me with symptoms asking maybe this is menopause, I would ask, okay, but you still have your period, then it cannot be. Whereas that perimenopause, which is a period before we go through the menopause, can be up to 10 years. So you can have 10 years of anxiety, depression, painful sex, and all of those symptoms which are not, let's say, giving you the quality of your life, not allowing you to be yourself, which is completely under-researched, and it's still a big taboo. And women also just don't know that they can be helped. So that's a huge area where we can make a difference.
While listening to you, and I know you will, of course, already a little, you are so intrinsic motivated. And of course, you're curious. And of course, there was encouragement of your father when it comes to hustler. Still, I'm really curious that of all the choices you can make, being well-educated, working all, where does this intrinsic motivation comes from? Why do you want specifically to help in this area? Why? What does it answer in yourself?
Well, I don't want my daughter to go through what I went through. I want her to be supported. So it's and you have to start shouting now to make that difference for in few years. And if women just don't speak up, then nothing happens.
And maybe it's also good to share that what kind of feelings were you struggling with, what you want to prevent your daughter struggling with in the future?
I don't want her to have fear. I don't want her to have fear of, of whether it's making life choices, of becoming a parent at a certain moment, but also I would like her to feel the confidence through herself, so not being judged of, how she looks like, what kind of dress she's wearing, or whatever.
If she even want to wear a dress.
Exactly. So, or whether she, it's like people should be able to be themselves. So, and that change it's not something that happens overnight.
Does that imply that there were periods in your time that you yourself didn't have the feeling to be who you are fully?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you don't always have that confidence. And again, being, like from... Yeah, it is, let's say, so my dad did a great job when it comes to entrepreneurship and, right, like giving you that confidence at a certain moment. But also, like, the doubt, like, can I do it? I mean, I'm from Poland, right? So it's like Eastern Europe. It very often was considered like, the worst part of Europe. It's like, oh, I'm a girl. And, like, can I do that? Because those are the jobs that men are doing, right? So it's like, it is something...
systemic, cultural?
Yeah. And let's say I look back at it, I'm like completely different person right now, but I think the quality of life would have been higher if girls had this confidence from, when they are young, that they don't have to go and prove, that you can do this and that, and to feel confident about, like, okay, I can also do that. But that they also see, women may be out there being, like the doctors and the presidents and the prime ministers and the astronauts and the leaders, saying like, okay, I can do that too. So that's, I think I would like that to be more.
So to come back to the question of who are you, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and you will. I'm challenging you, but I don't have to. Maybe also somewhere a little rebel with a cause.
Maybe just a little bit.
And also a role model. There's I think, and it's not that you deliberately act as I am a role model, but you are a role model to your daughter. You are a role model in entrepreneurship. So a rebel with a cause. And a role model.
Thank you.
And the thing is also very missionary driven, right? So vocal on on the things that you are very, which are very important for you.
Sure.
And it's supporting. And in the end, ultimately, maybe it's also about. And again, I'm trying to. Summarize it a little bit, but also it sounds also from time to time very lonely if you can't share a lot of things which you're going through.
Sure. But that's, I think, where you, on one hand, when maybe you sometimes have those doubts, right? But at the same time, maybe that's also the reason why Mamamoon is so embrace so strongly into community. So that's maybe that's also the reason why I love the partnerships. Because then you also meet those other founders, and then you share the struggle, and then you don't have to explain.
Like the NL, the cohort, and
that was great.
It was great. The demo day, and I love to see you all pitching and demoing. And hey, since we're heading a little bit towards the end of our conversation, I really would love to challenge this one, and that is men's role and inclusion. This specific topic, because I think we need more men come to the events to better understand each other. It's mutual, of course. Maybe there are a lot of things men don't talk about, and it's time to talk about and open up also. What should men understand? Well, no, we've been there already, but maybe to make it more understandable and digestible, and also appealing maybe for men, can you share some examples how male allies have positively supported women's health journeys, so we can better understand, hey, that sounds maybe interesting for me to step in.
I had a great conversation with, and I cannot share the name of the company, but I had a great conversation with a DEI manager in a company who basically said that he wants to make a difference. He said like, hey, I'm the example of the white, tall, blonde man. But he said like, I want to make a difference. And that was the reason why that he was like, okay, I see the value of bringing the women's health support and the conversation into the offices, into the workplace. And I know I don't look like the target group, but I can make a difference. And that's the thing, because very often we have amazing conversations with people at the companies who usually are women. And then those women, they go to their managers for the approval, who usually are men. And then there's it's like 50-50 or 20-80.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make a difference. You can, and I think maybe for a man to kind of don't think about supporting women's health as such as whether it's a cause, whether it's think about women in your life. Think about again, we all have there's gonna be always a single woman in your life that you can think of when you're like, oh yeah, I would like her to have a better journey. I would like her to be more supported. Maybe I can learn how I can support her. And then see what is your role, right? Because there are some men who can be decision makers, who can make a difference. And that can be a company leader, that can be a VC, which, maybe would open an eye for like a women's health startup instead of the 10th blockchain or crypto or there's a lot of crypto and blockchain in this world. So there is still a lot to be done in women's health, and women have money. We are like big on spending, so there is money. That's the other thing. But think like, what are the closest, and it doesn't have to be a big step. Can also be fine. You don't have that freedom to in the organization, in the setup that you're working with, but you have women in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe instead of trying to fix her, try to understand her.
It's a ripple effect, right? Yeah. Starting a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And that makes me curious, because when it comes to embrace, and when you're positioning it as an umbrella,
yeah,
I would love to challenge you on one thing,
mm-hmm.
And that is, what is the possible place for men within embrace? And maybe you don't have the answer now,
yeah.
but because there it starts.
Yeah.
If it's an umbrella centered around the 3M, then I believe there should be, here's my piece of advice, there should be a male ally positioning in it.
Yeah, and that's why also embrace allow for that change in the future. So it's not another umbrella that is linked so closely to women life, like Mamamoon was, right? But with Embrace Health, we can right now, step by step.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
That would be great. That would be great. If you need any help supporting that, I would love to. And also, when it comes to the educational part, I really would love to help you think about. And it makes me think about maybe a sidestep. But I was on the Impact Fair last week, and there was Tommy Tomato.
Oh yeah, I know.
And I love the whole concept, the philosophy behind the brand. And it's all about educating children and also parents around eating more healthy food, and that healthy food can actually really taste good also, and making them aware, and all the school programs. I can imagine that it would be interesting to team up or to contact when you are at that stage because they also had to struggle to we know the percentage of eating healthy food is very low. We want to educate, but how are we going to enter the educational system? Well, good luck. So it's a challenge, but step by step by step.
Yeah.
So and whenever you are there, then maybe we can get in contact.
Especially if we think about indeed like bringing it as early to schools as possible when it comes to health.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be women's health in general.
Yeah, in
just
general.
Knowing, the phrases.
What do you think about well-being?
Exactly, and mental health. And tools to deal with, whether it's a simple breathing exercise or just to stay, my kids, they are exposed to it. But I would love it. I would love it if they have it also at school.
So Kasia, I'm giving you the stage, and to end with your what are you up to within the coming months? What is important to share, and where do you want people to invite to?
Well, a lot is going to happen, by the way, coming months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but where I would like to invite people is to follow us on LinkedIn and on Instagram to know the latest.
Yes.
Because this is where we'll be sharing everything when it comes to Embrace Health and Mamamoon and the next stages and the next projects. And also experience it. So join us on June 24th at Equals Amsterdam.
Yes.
This is an event open to everyone, so anybody can join, and it's on women's health. We already have 2 amazing panelists soon to be announced, 2 more to come. And that's where we want men in the audience. And there is 1 more in October, but this one is for people managers. So this is for organizations.
Yeah.
So we have a women's health in the workplace training. You don't have to be HR. You don't have to be well-being. You can. Because
you manage a team.
But you're managing team.
Yeah.
So that was also... And you want to be a good manager, right? Because then they bring the results. And people are happy and the company is happy. So that's on October 1st. Also equals. Different setup. So half a day. Amazing experts, also possibility to work in a group setup with your peers. So to not only learn from, but also exchange the experiences from others who are your peers in other companies. So those are the next one to come. And
Great, and we will share everything in the show notes so people can really find the links and actually apply. I have an offer for you, and I have a last question for you.
All right.
Let me start with the offer. Since I'm shifting with Journeys of Empowerment towards helping change makers and social impact entrepreneurs either go to market or scale their company, I'm now in the middle of creating a workshop. It's the Simplify First workshop. And I'm creating that with a beautiful company. It's called a Strategy Sprint of 𝗪𝗫 𝗪𝗲. And the company, the workshop is no more boring workshops. That's the work title, but of course it has the name Simplify First workshop, because in my experience, helping startups go to scale into the scale stage. The first step in order to amplify is to simplify, and it comes to the messaging, it comes to the business model, it comes to the operational model, it comes to the people on board. Are we able to simplify before we amplify? So if you are willing to jump in, I would love to offer you the...
I'm in.
All right. The free of charge workshop, pilot workshop in June, July.
Amazing.
Great, with the co-founder, with your co-founder, and maybe the first ring of important people within your company. And so you're invited. So that's my offer. So, but you're in.
I'm in.
Very, very. And this one, I would really love to share with the audience and ask you the following question, and it is: what would be based on every knowledge, all the knowledge that you have now, what would be your advice to the, let's say, 10, 15 year younger you? When it comes to mama,
do it.
Mama health, the hormonal health.
Yeah. No, if I wish I would have been, diving, when it comes to hormonal health, like diving into the knowledge. When it comes to jumping into, I'd say, the whole building a startup world, I mean, if you feel in your whole body that what you're doing is, it's working and it's making a difference, and you can, it's not for like 1 or 2 people or 100 people, but can do it for like thousands and hundreds of thousands, then just do it. I mean, it's if there is no reason not to do it, then why
you
not?
have to.
If you don't try, you never know. And it's I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my life, by the way. Well,
it's about learning curve,
but it's
right?
about learning. It's about learning.
It's about the journey of empowerment.
Exactly. And I prefer to regret the stupid stuff, but regret that I haven't done something in my life.
Yeah.
So it's no.
And just do it.
Yeah.
Love
and
it.
be curious. Just
be curious. Stay curious. Stay hungry.
Curious.
Kasia, thank you very much for joining Journeys of Empowerment. And count me in as the male ally to support.
I have it on the podcast.
Yes, you have it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.